Now, the International Cross-Border Trade Association is an organization that deals with the mediation of cross-border traders and people in the diaspora with the necessary information and physical assistance. Today, we are joined on the line by founder of the non-profit organization via Zoom, Denis Juru, to speak more on the issues that have been happening, in particular at the Beitbridge. Denis, thank you very much for joining us. Let's firstly talk about the congestion that we've seen at Beitbridge. This got so severe that, well, the traffic jams were going on for 14 to 16 kilometers, and there have been recorded deaths while people waiting to cross the border and leave the country. Denis, can you hear me? I think that picture is frozen there, but we'll try and get Denis back. As I said, it's quite an important conversation we'd like to have with Denis on how far those queues, whether they've been sorted out. Some people saying they've been there for the past 3 days waiting on queues to cross the line. Denis, are you back? Denis, can you hear me?
Thank you for hearing me. It seems like my network is very bad. I can hardly hear you, but I'll guess your questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for staying with us, Denis. Let me ask the question again. I'll ask them production and to boost the audio in your ear. I was speaking about the congestion at Beitbridge border post. We've heard reports that some people even died at the waiting the queues. They're waiting to cross the border. What is the latest from that side?
Yes. Today it's far much better. There's free movement of traffic. Even yesterday it was also good, but for the past 1 week it was very, very congested. And like I said yesterday, we give blame to the government of Zimbabwe because we all know that we have been in lockdown for the past 9 months, and people couldn't move into their countries, and this was the opportunity for everyone to move out of South Africa. It wasn't about holiday making, but it was about escaping from South Africa. People were not working, people didn't have money, foreigners couldn't access food parcels. So when the South African government announced that they were going to open their borders, it's very unfortunate that their Zimbabwean counterparts couldn't understand that there was need for the borders to be opened, and we still don't have the answer why they couldn't open the border in time. Now they opened the border on the 1st of December with conditions that only people with foreign residence permit are allowed in buses, and everyone used their own private cars to go to Zimbabwe. So that's why there was a lot of congestion, and at the same time there was no enough manpower at the Zimbabwean side. That's why the queues were extending to the South African side. And when I spoke to the border spokesperson to know what was the problem, he said it was lawlessness, but I can tell you that the problem was the Zimbabwean government by failing to open borders in time.
Yeah. Denis, maybe you can give me some clarity. You say the Zimbabwean government said only people with foreign permit holders only could be in buses. What does that mean? I mean, that doesn't make sense. If I'm South African and I want to come into South Africa, the South African government won't care whether if I've got a South African passport, I should be allowed into South Africa, one would think.
When the Zimbabwean government announced that they were going to reopen borders, there were conditions. And one of the conditions was that buses are not allowed to carry people who will be visiting South Africa. So it was only people holding South African residence, work permit, or business permit. Those were the only people allowed to use buses. Meaning those who didn't have a work permit were not allowed to use, are not allowed even now, are not allowed to use buses. It's only people with private cars and pedestrians allowed to use Beitbridge border posts.
Okay, that still doesn't make sense to me, but let's move on for the sake of time. You probably have a better understanding your side. Now, can we talk about the statistics, in particular with the deaths? We know that over the past couple of days, there were reports there were 3 deaths on one particular day, 4 deaths on another day. What is the number of deaths that happened while people waited to get back home? And mostly the cause of that, a lot of people saying it was dehydration because it is hot at this time of the year, in particular with people waiting in their cars.
Yes, according to the statistics we have as International Cross-Border Traders Association, there are 21 people from the 7th of December to date. There are 21 people who died trying to cross into Zimbabwe through ungazetted point of entry. Some of them were killed by robbers called Magumaguma, and as you know that rivers are full. Some were drawn in Limpopo River trying to cross into Zimbabwe. Some cases were reported to the police, some cases were not reported to the police, but we track them as our members, we track them no matter they use gazetted or ungazetted point of entry. And then we also have 4 truck drivers who died in the queue waiting to cross into Zimbabwe. And the situation we had is that in the queue was in the bush. And when you are already in the queue, you can't make a U-turn to go back to Messina, or you cannot walk to the border to fetch water or to get food. So it was a very, very difficult situation. When we tried to reach out to the Messina municipality, they couldn't access people in the queue because the northbound traffic occupied the southbound lane, oncoming lanes. So there was not even emergency vehicles accessing people in the queue.
This must be concerning for you, Denis. I mean, 2020 has been an exceptional year on all fronts. The major concern, in particular for the job that you do, it must be concerning to see so many people, foreigners, who want to have that access to go home and be able to come back to South Africa and are finding it tough as it is. And this situation at the border post should not exist for people to be dying in queues for such a simple thing, crossing a border, getting your passport stamped and going home.
I can hardly hear you. I can hardly hear you.
You can hardly hear me. Okay, no, let's move on. I'm saying all these issues then are priority for you, of course. What are the resolutions that one will try and come up with, in particular for your side? We know that certificates of COVID-19 are still requested, whether you're leaving or coming back to South Africa. Your people and the job that you do, how will you try and get all these in order? Because people will soon come back to South Africa as the year starts or carry on with their jobs.
I think both governments, Zimbabwe and South Africa, should have somewhere where people are tested at their point of departure, like bus rank, so that they reduce congestion at the border. At least there should be somewhere where people are tested, where they board buses, like Newtown, like Powerhouse, like Park Station. What they are doing to test people at the border, it increases congestion because while these people are waiting for their results, they congest the border, and it will be very, very difficult for the border officials to clear the people. And also at the same time, I still believe that there should be clearance of people at their point of departure before they can go to the border, so that when they reach the border, they will be cleared already. They will be having their COVID-19 test certificates stamped by authorities at their point of departure.
Denis Juru, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us here on SA Today, International Cross-Border Trade Association. Thank you very much, sir. Hopefully you'll get some answers and get down to the bottom of all these issues at the border post, Beitbridge border post there with South Africa and Zimbabwe. Thank you very much, sir. As you heard there, 21 people have died so far trying to cross into Zimbabwe. As you heard Denis saying, some died crossing the rivers, some died crossing the borders illegally, and just those 4 truck drivers that he's mentioned who died whilst in the queues waiting to cross the border between South Africa and Zimbabwe. Stay with us. We take a quick break here on SA Today. More news to follow after this.